Hello, everybody. It's such a pleasure to have Trudy Bateman back today. And I'm so delighted to have her. And Trudy is a career coach. She's a speaker and author, and she's director of Strength Profile at Cappfinity. And today we are talking about why it's important to consider your strength, generally speaking, the impact of this in your career. And specifically, then we will look at career transition and why it's important to understand your strength for when you're considering a career transition, which is today something quite frequent given the turmoil that this pandemic is creating in the job market. So Trudy, to you, welcome. So why do you think, can you explain to us why it's important to understand our own strength and our capacity and our energy and all these things that the strength profile represents?
Of course, and thanks for having me back here today. Of course, so I guess when it comes to your career, there are two aspects really. It's a bit of a win-win for you and the company or the organization that are going to be greeting you as well on the other end. So from your own perspective, when we align our strengths, and we'll talk a little bit more on what that looks like and how we can do that. But when we align our strengths with our careers, you know, we're more confident. You know, we perform better, we're more productive, we are more in flow, you know, we lose sense of time in what we're doing, we're more engaged, our well-being, you know, such a critical element right now, our well-being is increased. So from our own perspective, there's this sort of element of the holisticness and how we perform and what that looks like psychologically for us. But then in the organization, you know, they're going to onboard somebody who has all of these brilliant kind of attributes coming into the organization, so performance and motivation to do the job. So, you know, they get the rewards of that as well in terms of somebody who's high performing on the other end. And then it goes back round again. If you're high performing, imagine what that looks like for you in your career. You know, if you're in your role and you're highly 6 times more engaged whilst you're at work, what does that look like for your team members and those that work with you and around you? So, you know, the benefits are, you know, fundamentally around not just you and your makeup, your psychological well-being and your performance, but what the organization and what your team members will see as well is you is simply showing up at your best and loving what you do.
So can you tell us a little bit more about when someone in the current market feels the need to requalify or maybe change job or even sector, how can they reset and basically use the strength profile as an instrument for direction? It's almost like, show me a little bit the path, help me out a little bit. What am I going to do?
Yeah, no, great question. And I think if I was given £1 for every time somebody said to me, if only we had strengths profile 20 years ago, it's, you know, it's a really common phrase. So it is something that's really working and supporting people in that space. And that's because I guess once we have a moment, and the pandemic could be that for us in terms of, you know, we need to go on a career change, or maybe we're just unhappy in where we are. And, you know, what we do know is that our perspective has changed a bit around the pandemic. So maybe we're looking at new horizons optionally, and maybe we're looking at new careers because of, you know, those industries or sectors are struggling right now. So I guess the first part is we come back a stage and we think, well, what am I like at my best? You know, have I actually stopped for a day, for a moment, and thought about what it really is that makes a good day for me? So, you know, when I have a successful day, there's a difference between a successful day and a really motivational, enjoyable strengths day. A successful day could be performance, productivity, I was creative, you know, all those things that get the job done. Whereas when you're operating from your strengths, so you're bringing in motivation and energy and performance. So we're getting a lot more from it. So I think when you're you know, that transition piece is about taking a step back, just stopping, having a breather and think, what makes a really good day for me and why? What is it that ticks my boxes when I've just had the most amazing experience at work? What is it that my colleagues love about me? What am I always getting complimented on? So you have to bring it back and think of all of those things, you know, what is it that I actually really want to be known for? And most of us will be known for a lot of things, but maybe what they want to be known for, like detail is a very common one. We're known for detail. Do we want to be doing it all day? More likely to be a learned behavior. So we've got to come back a bit, and strengths profile and people like yourselves really help us discover that. So what am I like at my best? What makes a great day for me? Why are those things important? Why is that kind of culture in an organization potentially important for me? Why would that kind of industry be a good fit for me? So first of all, coming back, what am I like? You know, what makes a brilliant day for me? Where do I get all my energy from? And once you've done a strengths profile, you'll get a whole range of strengths that are presented to you. And that might be from, you know, your values to your thinking, your motivating, your communicating, or relating. So from that, you can start to think about, well, these are the things that I really enjoy doing and prefer doing in these types of strengths. So that's the first bit, is this self-awareness about who I am and what I am at my best, and what that looks like then practically. You know, what does that look like every day? How am I serving people? You know, one of the greatest gifts is to serve. How do you do that? Now, whether you do that by thinking and sharing ideas, or whether you do that practically by being able to plan events is very different. So how do you serve? So bringing that as the sort of stage one is, what am I like at my best, and my self-awareness piece. Yeah. And then the second stage of that is then to start weaving all of that information and why those things are important to you into, well, what could next steps practically then start to look like? What could, you know, what does the career guide suggest to me potentially in strengths profile that matches some of my strengths? You know, what could I be thinking about doing differently? And I'll just pause for there, but I think it's worth touching on the career guide, if that's all right.
Yes, I
but I pause and see. I thought I'd pause and see if you've anything to add on to what I've just said first.
No, I think absolutely. I think I would absolutely agree with you with the pause. I think when you're considering a career transition, it's you have to reset. And I mean, ideally, and obviously I'm biased in this, using a career coach would be a good idea, because obviously they are expert. But if you're doing by yourself, you know, like reading books on strength, doing the strength test, although I've noticed that loads of people that do the strength test without a debriefing get probably 20% of it, 30% of it, if we're talking about the expert test. And then when they come to me and they say, oh, can we do a debriefing? And we go deep into the debriefing, and in the coaching, they get so much out of it. So, I mean, it is a useful instrument to look by yourself, but like the potential of the strength test is with a coach, with a qualified strength practitioner.
I would absolutely say, and the reason for that I would suggest is, you've got it on paper. When you do it on yourself, you know, and you've got the results, you've got it on paper. When you work with a coach, they drive you to action, which is where the magic happens.
Yeah, you couldn't have said it better, Trudy. Absolutely. So, and I wanted to ask you about this amazing addition of the career part and the potential as well. And I was doing a strength test to a client of mine, and it was the first time that the potential was there. And I was quite surprised how they, you know, they actually are quite specific about how you can use those unrealized strengths practically in a much more practical way compared to the analysis of the unrealized strength. So do you want to talk a little bit about the career part and also about the potential? Because when you're doing a career transition, it's a good time to think, how can I actualize my potential?
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. And they lead on to each other, so that's perfectly done. So the career guide it recommends, based on your strengths, the 6 sort of highest sectors we would recommend that are based on your strengths, and you've got 2 potential as well within the unrealized 2 potential sectors. But again, with this, it's with the career piece, take a step back from it. Now, we're not saying quit your job and go and work in IT or marketing. What we're saying is, we know these sectors you will be good at. We know from the data and the science that these sectors you'll enjoy working in terms of your motivation, and your energy. You can bring your strengths into these roles. Now, you might look at a couple, and it's really common, and go, no way, never. Okay, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. Laugh about it.
Yeah.
But you might look at a couple and think, that's interesting. I've seen something around this before. Something has been, this came up 10 years ago for me, or, and then you might have a couple that you think, gosh, yeah, I would be really interested to think about that more. So take a step back. It's suggesting your strengths match these. And then it's so what are you going to do with this information? So some things might be, you could rank them in motivation. So immediately I've got 2, 2, 2, 2 can go, 2 I'm not sure about, 2 I'm a bit more interested in. So you've now got a bit of an action there. What could the next step be like? Maybe start to combine some of the sectors as well. If you already work in a role that you're fairly happy at, or don't want to take too much of a leap, but then just combine some of those activities in your role today, so that you're not reinventing the wheel, but what it's saying is these activities you'll enjoy, how do you bring them into your current role? And I think for those transitioning, it's very much around, well, also take it, try not to be too literal about it. Somebody said to me, but why would I do social care? And I said, well, take a step back again and think, social care suggests you care. It suggests that you serve and you care. Okay, so think about that as in your role going forward, that's an important role for you to play. So I think it's shaping the culture as well. So my son is doing a business degree, HR, and in fact social care and coaching has come up for him, and he was very much like, and I said, well, people manager, that sort of thing, and came up. What it's showing is that there's an element to you that's very much around people in your business going forward. So it didn't tell him exactly necessarily the sector. It told him an area that he would probably be really good focusing at, which was people. So I think it's going to give you a next step, and that next step is very much around, how do I then go and get experience in this place? How do I go and think about mentoring, coaching? How do I think about shadowing? How do I think about new hobbies? Where do I go and get some experience in IT courses to fill in some of these gaps, so that I can start to showcase what I'm capable of? And for people like yourself, talk to your career coaches about the ideas that you might have, or the ideas that they have, or how you might do research and investigation into some of these sectors. But let it stimulate some ideas and thinking.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. We shouldn't take those suggestions literally, in the sense of, oh my God, social care, I need to go. You have to basically model them on you and understand how they make sense for you. Because obviously, a test has to be seen through your lens. And, that's why the debriefing is so important, because it fosters reflection, foster mirroring and understanding as well of the structure of the test.
Yeah.
That's been incredible, Trudy. I think everyone, again, I may be biased, but I don't know, I think it's the best instrument for strength. I love the part of energy, and you keep adding section, which makes it even more articulated and complete.
Piece. I'll just add 1 or 2 things on that, if I may. So when it comes to go and get those ideas, go and get that development, and there's a lot of those ideas, isn't there, already in your potential. So it's part of the profile, in those very specific ideas, how you might go and get some more experience in this untapped energy. So if some of that matches your unrealized strengths, it's all about sort of experience, exposure, and ideas to bring this hidden potential in your report into life. So I think that sort of leads from the career guide then, if some of those suggestions come up, will really help you think about next steps then, because the unrealized strengths will say we're good at them, we're motivated and we're energized, but we haven't got an opportunity to use them. So we're just giving you ideas for that opportunity. And I think with all of this, the sort of takeaway quote that a client gave me who wrote a book on this topic is called, "These tools give you a conscious career." Being able to take stock of you are now in control. You've got the information, and we're not going to dictate, and neither are you, but we're just going to give you that consciousness to make your own decisions going forward.
I love the conscious career definition. It's absolutely incredible. It's very much about, being proactive and taking control, and the career is so important. We cannot just leave it to chance. So absolutely, I love the conscious career. Thank you so much, Trudy. I think I'm gonna entitle this interview with you, The Conscious Career, How to Find Your Conscious Career. So thank you so, so much. And in the next interview, because there is so much to talk about, we're going to talk about more practical aspects of how to sell yourself. Because one thing is to understand, but then you have to sell yourself with, through LinkedIn, through CVs, interview. So it's going to be much more practical. But this is to the next episode. So thank you for watching, and thank you, Trudy, for being here with me. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.